Hey crafty friends, Amanda here with Crafting with Amanda. Thanks for stepping by. Today is the Close to My Heart Twisted Sister for the July through September new idea book. And what I'm going to do is take this beautiful Backyard Bliss paper pack and make a different themed set of 3 cards out of it. And if you can see on this card, on this paper pack, there's flowers and carrots and rabbits and chickens and all sorts of birds and bees and all things that you would find in the backyard when you're gardening. The colors are these soft muted tones that include candy apple and papaya and sapphire and rosemary, sage, pine, a new color, shortbread, and nectarine, along with some others. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 1-inch strip of paper, and because of the 2 patterns on the 2 different sides, I'm going to use 2 of them from this 1 sheet of paper. I marked the center at a 1/2 inch, and now I'm just going to trim off from the corner, the bottom corner, up to that 1/2 inch mark. And I'm going to do that on 3 different pieces of the pattern paper. Can you see where I'm going with this now? I went ahead and did a card base of I would call it fence board, or kind of a garden gate, because it has the nail heads in it. And with that old White Pines stamp set, I stamped the sentiment, "Oh Christmas tree." And yes, that's it. I am going to make 3 Christmas cards out of this Backyard Bliss paper pack. So I just pulled some DMC floss, it's probably an off-brand, that matches the sapphire color of the cards, or of the paper pack, excuse me. And I'm just putting it around my sentiment, and I'm going to wrap that around the bottom of the card here. I end up fussing with it more than I needed to, but if you've ever crafted and sometimes you feel like you're under a deadline, those things happen. And this was one of those days that those things happen. We were still in California, and I knew this was the last project that I was going to be able to create before all of my stuff was being packed up, because the movers were coming the next day. I just use tape to hold down the ends of the floss. I know other people use glue, but for me, Scotch tape has been my go-to for this. I do ink all the edges of the different triangles or tree shapes with colors that coordinate with the paper. So I'm using, I believe it's papaya for this particular tree. And then I don't have pine because it's a new color, but I do have rosemary and also New England ivy. In this case, as you saw, I'm taking the rosemary and inking the edges of the tree and that. And these are just simple trees. This is something kind of a Christmas card that if you need just a quick, easy, somebody sent you a card that you didn't expect and you don't have any more of your cards left over, whip one of these out, cut an inch strip by 3 inches, and then, like I said, mark the center at 1/2 inch and corner to that 1/2 inch mark, and you're good to go. And like I said, I was fussing with this floss so much. I really like how it turned out in the end, though. Oh, I should mention, because I didn't get through all the colors in the paper pack, that the other colors that are in this paper pack that are kind of the neutrals are mocha, toffee, mink, linen, pewter, and white daisy. And this gate background, or the wood grain background, is primarily toffee. And it's just, I love the looks of this. It took me a while to get into, but I've now seen the light for the wood grain papers. So as you saw, the 2 back trees I'm just gluing directly to the card front base, and then the tree that's going to be kind of in the center of both of those, I've used the foam tape to pop that up, and you just attach that right to the center. I could use a ruler. This is just my quick and simple card. The next card gets a little more technique intense, and the card after that is a little more fussy as well. So here I'm just using the white Tombow glue because it dries sticky, and these are the gold stars, and I'm just making a halo around that center tree, kind of like a lit Christmas tree would be. And it's great, this pickup tool, if you haven't tried one, it's basically a long pencil. I want to say it's 12 inches, maybe it's 15 inches, of wax covered in this black polka dot paper, and you sharpen it with a pencil sharpener, and it works beautifully. If you get a little bit of glue on the end, you can just sharpen it off and start over again, and it just works great. So strong recommendation for me for the pickup tool, let me tell you, because you get 2 of them in a pack for $5.95, I think. So I have this one long, but I actually have gotten other packs and cut them in half, and then I can give those out to 4 different people, and they work really well. So now we're on to card number 2, and again I took the different various patterns of the Backyard Bliss papers and cut my trees and inked the edges. And as you saw here, I just tore the edges to make kind of a snowdrift, and I'm taking the, I can't think of what it's called, the chicken wire paper, and I'm using just the regular sapphire ink and a blending tool, and I don't necessarily need it to be all smooth and all nice because I'm kind of making a winter dark sky. So having some of the edges and the bopples in it is perfectly all right. It kind of gives it that moody sky look, I'll call it. So now I just take this, I think it's a 4x4 square that I had, and then a 4x probably 3 that I ripped the top off of for my snowdrift. And I pop dot the snowdrift over top of my moody sky, and that just gives it some depth. You can do multiple layers of your snowdrift, just rip papers, different sizes, different heights with different, mounds of snow. It's whatever works for you. And I am using the foam tape that came in the center of the shaker card elements. And I realized, thankfully, before I glued it down, that I wanted to do a shimmer brush in gold, kind of to have the stars sparkling in this moody sky. So I just take my score tool and tap the side of my gold shimmer brush, and you really can't see it here on camera, but I can assure you in real life it's stunning. It really gives a nice starry night to this card. So like I've said, I'm popping this snowdrift up over top of my moody sky, and then I like to dry fit so that I know where things are going to be, and I'm not going to have one pattern too close to another pattern, and I can have the height staggered. And I'm just one of those people that I need to do my dry fitting first. So that's what I'm doing here. And I don't know if you've noticed it, but I don't see the flowers in those lighter color Christmas trees. To me, they just look like natural branches and things that you would find in nature on evergreen trees, maybe one snow laden. So because I don't want to mess up my layout, I go ahead and hold the bottoms of these trees down and sneak my tip of my glue right underneath there and add the glue that way. And that's just something that over the years has worked for me. I don't do it all the time, but in this particular case, I knew if I took the trees off and tried to put them back on, I wasn't going to be happy with them, and I was really happy with how they had turned out. So that's what I did. And I will say that I've had some people tell me, oh, I don't like inking the edges, it's just one more step in my card. But to me, on certain projects, and this is one of those projects, inking the edges of the trees really helps them stand out and be more, uniformed in the sense of they all have the darker edges. So again, using the White Pines card stamp set, I grabbed the Merry Christmas, and then I'm going ahead and in between some of the shimmer brush stars, I'm going ahead and dotting some glue and adding those other gold stars on top of that. So now this is our second card. So now we're going to start on card number 3. And this time, instead of doing 3-inch strips by 1, I'm taking those 1-inch strips and I'm cutting 1x1 squares, and I did that out of a couple different papers. So I'm just going to take the card base and I'm just going to layer them on kind of like a grid pattern. So you can see that here, that I've just kind of, again, dry fit them on so that I know which ones I want where. This tree I cut bigger. It's actually a 2-inch by, I believe, 3-inch tree. And again, I just mark the center at the 1 inch and then cut from corner to corner down to make the simple triangle. And after I struggle for a little bit to get this floss through the holes, I do manage to do it and grab my tweezers. I'm kind of bummed. I lost my other reversible tweezers. I lost them back in, I don't know, October or November, and I thought for sure that they would show up as I was packing things in the studio, and they just haven't shown up yet. So kind of bummed about that. Are there things that you really loved and used all the time that you misplace and then can't find? In fact, I lost a stamp set today, the July stamp of the month I had out on my Versamat, and I went to go stamp and they were gone. Well, it turns out that they were on the back of a paper pack, the plastic wrap from a paper pack that I had put away. So I did find them, but that was like really weird. You know, crafty, spending more time looking for the things instead of crafting is not fun to me. I'm an organized person. I don't I don't enjoy when I lose my stamp sets that way. So on this sentiment, I did go ahead and pop dot it up over the floss that's on the back here. And I'm just going to put that over the card and leave the ends kind of free flowing. They are attached to the back well enough that someone can't just come along and pull, you know, the strings out, or they're not going to fall out during the mail. But it ended up being a little too floppy after I cut this end off. So you'll see here that I'll go back in with my adhesive runner, and I decide to tack these ends down. And it just takes a little bit. It's not a whole lot, but just kind of spread the different threads out onto that adhesive runner. And then I didn't want it to be so wide, so as you saw, I took my fingernail and kind of rolled it up so that it's under that floss. And this is card number 3. Again, those 1x1 squares. I went ahead and inked the edges. And now to finish off my cards, I normally stamp the inside, but I definitely like my envelopes to have kind of a sneak peek of what's kind of coming on the inside, a foretaste of the feast to come, as they say in church. So using my Perfectly Imperfect stamp, or pattern stamp, I second generationed that one pattern, and then first generationed in the papaya Merry Christmas. Here's where you can catch up with me on social media, but be sure to go down and play the playlist for all the Twisted Sisted videos and see what they're doing this month with new products. Come back next month, because August we will be revealing our twists on core products. Blessings.